Good morning, class. It's Mr. Stewart again, and it's a wet and cool Monday morning here in the beginning of week 8, which is your midterm week. So right off the bat, a couple reminders. Make sure you get your usual weekly work done within the course shell this week. I'll be responding to last week's discussions and then getting some of the last couple of weeks' worth of grading in those discussions and assignments done this week. But also remember to take the midterm exam no later than Sunday night. A couple pointers in regard to taking that midterm exam. Please make sure that if you can, try not to take it from a wireless connection. If you can take it from, what I'm saying is don't take it from your phone or from some untrusted internet source, because if it goes down, then you're going to have to contact me. We'll get you back in a place where you can take that test. So if you can take it from a hardware computer is actually the best, or a very trusted any other internet source. Just don't try to take it from your phone, because sometimes those are notorious for crashing in the middle of an exam. So the exam is not that long. It's only about 40 questions. It is worth 100 points, so they're worth 2.5 points each. And it's based on chapters 1 through 8. So, and you have a couple hours. Once you start the test, you have a couple hours to take the test and finish the test. So it shouldn't be any problem for most of you. But if you can, just remember, don't start that test at 11 o'clock on Sunday night. You need to take it between now and Sunday at some point, just because you don't want to run out the clock on it and not be finished with the test. All right. So this week we're going to be talking about crime prevention, and crime prevention is a very important part of the security function, namely because if we can prevent something from happening, then we don't have to worry about responding to the incident once it has happened, because we have effectively prevented it. John F. Kennedy said that the time to repair the roof is when the sun is shining. And that makes a heck of a lot of sense. And think about it this way. If it's raining and now the roof is leaking, and this doesn't necessarily mean, in literal translation, but you could definitely look at it that way as well. If the roof is leaking because it is now presently raining, you can repair the roof in the rain, but it's much harder. You're going to get wet, the roof's going to be slick, you're still going to have water damage from the leak, etc., etc., etc. The one thing that rain will help us is to determine that there is a leak. And once the sun's shining, get up there, fix it, and you won't have to worry about any more water damage, you won't have to worry about any more leaks. But there's a lot to be said for, if you notice that the roof needs repairing, fix it when the weather is good, so you don't have to worry about any of that water damage or any of the stuff that goes along with repairing the leak in the middle of a thunderstorm. You might get struck by lightning. Stranger things have happened. So repair the roof when the sun is shining, and we can apply that into the security focus very, very easily. When you know that things need to be worked on, work on them when they're not under attack. Work on them when you have a chance to work on them. When everything else is going smoothly, then devote some time and devote some effort into fixing those things that can prevent some loss at some point. So it's better to prevent by being proactive than to have to respond after an incident has happened. Prevention, prevention is just another way of saying be proactive. That's the key element of the security industry. So whatever you can do to prevent anything from happening is absolutely critical. This is the end-all, be-all kind of concept of the security industry, is prevent. If you spend a little bit of effort now to prevent something from happening, that will save you a lot more effort later. There's no way we can prevent everything. We cannot foresee everything, and there's no way that we can prevent everything. But look at it this way. What you do prevent is now not something you have to worry about. It's been prevented. Now, it may give you a chance to see that I can improve my prevention efforts. I can do something that works a little bit better, but if you have successfully prevented something, that has saved you time, labor, and cost for the losses, so to speak. So, prevention is a key element of the security industry. So let's talk about some crime prevention for just a little bit. In your textbook, you need to make sure that you are familiar with the idea of what we call situational crime prevention. Now, under situational crime prevention, we have kind of three different concepts. Two of them are theories, and one is just a process of crime prevention. But in order to talk about situational crime prevention and understand it, we need to look at what the components of situational crime prevention are. First is we need to increase our perceived effort to prevent crimes. And this is in your book on page 163. It's in a table that really kind of summarizes it, and that's kind of what I'm going to be talking about for a few minutes this morning. How do we increase our perceived effort of prevention? Well, first of all, we can harden our targets. Whatever targets that we think are vulnerable to attack, that have a high threat level, we can harden those. We can make them where they're either not as easily accessible, or they will withstand most attacks that you think might happen. I mean, think about it this way. Look at a nuclear power plant. In the United States, we harden our nuclear power plants. Now, it's done for a couple different reasons. It's, number one, done for protection of the public in case we have a boo-boo at the power plant, you know, a 3-mile island type of boo-boo where we have a nuclear reactor meltdown or some sort of malfunction that can cause, you know, a release of something into the environment. Well, we harden those nuclear power plants to lessen or mitigate that risk. But we also harden them against attack. If you look at nuclear power plants in other countries, and more specifically Russia, some of you may remember the Chernobyl incident. The Chernobyl incident happened because there was no protection of that nuclear reactor. The nuclear reactor at Chernobyl was in what we would compare in the United States to a tin-sided and tin-roofed shed. There was no target hardening whatsoever. Now, Chernobyl was not attacked. It was an accident. It was due to some old and faulty and malfunctioning equipment, and probably a lack of training on behalf of some of the people. Maybe procedures weren't followed. There was a whole lot of things that led to that accident. But if that target had been hardened, then the potential losses could have been mitigated significantly rather than what they were and still are. So harden your targets. You also need to control access into the facility. You need to deflect offenders, and that's a fancy way of saying how can we keep potential offenders out of the building, off the property, etc. So I mean that kind of goes along with access control. And then you need to control the facilitators of whatever of the security prevention effort is. I mean, you can't just let everybody run around uncontrolled. There has to be control of the personnel. That helps to maintain a much more highly secure facility. Another component of situational crime prevention is increasing the perceived risk. And how do we go about doing that? Well, we look at entry and exit screening. That's also part of controlling your personnel. We do surveillance. Now, not every facility will require surveillance of the employees, but many facilities do. Many facilities tell the employees, when you go to work here, we're watching you. And that serves a couple purposes. One, it serves a definite security focus because now we have the ability to see what our employees are doing and we can see if they're doing something wrong. But it also keeps honest people honest. if you know you're being watched, you're much less likely to fall victim to some temptation and stick a tool in your pocket, or or try to sneak something out or in your lunchbox, so to speak. So conducting formal surveillance of the facility and the employees goes a long way to preventing a lot of security breaches. You can also have the employees conduct surveillance of other employees and of anybody else that may be within the facility as well. I mean, that's the thing. Think about this. Let's just say we simplify this, and you walk into Logan's Roadhouse, and you said you're gonna go have a steak at the local Logan's Roadhouse franchise restaurant. So you go in there and you're sitting at your table and you think, I think I'll just go in the kitchen and see what it looks like. And you go into the kitchen, and the first thing somebody says is, "Who are you? You don't belong here. Why are you here? What are you doing?" That is surveillance by employees. That's a simplified version of that. It simply means that, hey, we're checking up on this to see this person is somebody we don't recognize. Why are they here? What are they doing? We need to ask. And then if you really specify that into like the Huntsville area here with the major defense industries and defense industry contractors, if somebody who somebody doesn't know is on the property, they're probably going to be questions and asked what they're doing there. Why are you here? What are you doing? Or if they see somebody making a picture with their cell phone or whatever, in places where we know that's not allowed. So surveillance by employees is also a good way of situational crime prevention. We also can engage in natural surveillance, and that's making the location of the facility easy to see from the public eye. And I understand there's some facilities that just don't need to be in the public eye. I mean, you can go to Oak Ridge, Tennessee, into some of the into K-25 nuclear warhead facility. I mean, yes, you can see the building, but you can't even get close to it enough to get any information about that building whatsoever. I had a friend's dad who worked there and took me onto the property. It was just crazy at the time, and this was in the 1990s, how their security was. I mean, the whole town of Oak Ridge, Tennessee, used to be a secure facility. It was a military town where they did. Of course, that's where they developed a lot of the technology for the nuclear arms program here in the United States as well. And that's kind of one of the exceptions to this natural surveillance rule. But if you look around in Huntsville, in the Research Park area, right even here around here where Calhoun is, what you see is the ability for the public eye to see the facilities, and if the public can see the facilities, then that makes it much less desirable for a bad guy to sneak onto the facility as well. So that just gives you something to think about. Another part of situational crime prevention, another component, is reducing the anticipated reward. How can we do that? We can remove the target. If we don't absolutely have to have a particular target on our site, take it somewhere else. Take it to a more secure location. Identifying the property. Reducing temptation, denying benefits. Basically making that if somebody were to take the property or steal the property or attack the property, that the reward that they get from it would be lessened. I mean, you think about this. They used to make, or they do make die packs, where if you go in and rob a bank, if you were to go down to the Redstone Federal Credit Union just down the street from where I am right here on the Huntsville campus this morning, and you went in and tried to rob that bank, there are die packs of money that the teller would probably put in whatever bag that you asked them to put the money in. And when you pass by a sensor going out the door, that die pack will explode. And it will coat the money in a particular die. Sometimes it will coat the bank robber in the die so that they can be easily spotted, and that die doesn't come off. It's really nasty stuff. And it's kind of permanent. I mean, it's almost like painting yourself with the ink out of a Sharpie. That stuff just doesn't come off easy. So that would reduce the perceived reward, and that's why a lot of bank robbers go in. They say, "Don't put the die pack in, or I'll shoot you," type of thing. They're trying to prevent that from happening. Of course, if the die packs are actually so well camouflaged at this point, sometimes the teller doesn't even know what's the die pack, what the die pack is in his or her teller drawer, just because they're so well camouflaged, and the teller just doesn't know. So we can reduce those anticipated rewards. And kind of the last component of situational crime prevention is removing excuses. We can set rules. We can stimulate the conscience of the employees to not do anything wrong. We can stimulate the conscience of maybe people in the public to, leave us alone. We can control whatever the things that would reduce their inhibitions, that would make them more likely to attack us or take something from us or cause us losses. We can try to make sure that we're cultivating a mindset, at least amongst our employees anyway, that you don't have to steal from us. We'll make it worth your while to work here, so to speak. And many people don't even think about this is looking at the benefits and compensation packages and work environment of the employees as being a way to increase security. If you've got happy employees, then they probably won't fall victim to temptation. They probably won't fall victim to being corrupted in some shape, form, or fashion. And last part, you also need to facilitate compliance, and that simply means make sure that the employees are familiar with the rules and they know what the consequences are if they do break the rules, if they do get caught taking something or bringing something prohibited in, or doing something they're not supposed to be doing that could cause you losses or problems with security. So if you take all of those things together, that's situational crime prevention. And basically it is preventing crime within each individual situation is really what we're talking about. Now there's a couple theories associated with this whole idea of situational crime prevention. And the first one of those theories, let me go back here. The first one of those theories is rational choice theory. Rational choice theory is very simple. It states that a criminal will perform a cost-benefit analysis. They will weigh the potential cost of committing the crime versus the rewards that they get from successfully committing the crime. And if the rewards outweigh the costs, they will most likely make a choice to engage in that particular activity. Now, they don't necessarily perform this business model cost-benefit analysis like kind of I just described, but what they do is they think about it. They think, okay, what's the likelihood I'm going to get caught? If I get caught, what are they going to do to me? Versus what am I going to get if I'm successful? And if they're not likely to get caught, or the punishment is not sufficiently severe, then they're likely to make a choice to engage in that particular behavior. I mean, think about this. If you got an employee who thinks that, hey, I can take a roll of toilet paper and a box of pencils out of here every single day, and that costs the company a whole $1.50 a day and saves me money because I don't have to go to the store and buy pencils for my kid for school, and I don't have to buy toilet paper because my other kid uses it all the time. So I get free toilet paper and free pencils, and the likelihood is to get caught is low. And if I were to get caught, it's just toilet paper and pencils. What are they really going to do to me? And so that employee may then make a choice to simply engage in that behavior because the reward, the perceived reward, is greater than the perceived cost of engaging in that particular wrongdoing. So many criminals engage in this choice, where they make a choice to commit a crime after they've kind of looked at the costs versus the benefits. The next theory I want to talk about just a minute, and it's very closely related to rational choice. It's called the routine activity or routine activities theory, depending upon who you ask. And and rational choice and routine activity theories both are kind of hallmarks of what we would consider to be classical criminology as to some of the reasons why people commit crime. Well, routine activity theory is pretty closely associated and complementary to rational choice. And it describes how crime is a function of a criminal's routine daily activities that may include home, school, work, shopping, recreational activities, and crime may be part of that. If crime and criminal activity becomes normal for that person, that's just going to be one of their routine activities, and it's going to be hard to break them of that. I mean, to give you, for instance, when I get up in the morning, one of the first things I do is I walk in the kitchen and I turn the coffee pot on. Hopefully I've got it ready the night before. If not, then I will get the coffee ready, and I make a pot of coffee first, and then I go to the bathroom, and that's when I begin to go. That's my routine of getting ready for work. Once I've used the bathroom, got a shower and shaved, I've dressed. At that time, the coffee is ready. I'll come in and I will make my lunch that I bring to work for the day. A lot of mornings, my wife gets up and she'll make me something for breakfast, and then usually about 50 minutes after I'm up, I'm on the road to Huntsville, and it takes me about 45-50 minutes to get to work. So when it's something that's within that list of my routine activities, if I were to not do one of those things, I'd feel lost. I'd feel something. I feel like my day has gone crazy or something almost. And it's hard to break loose of kind of some of those habits that we form, because it has become a part of our daily routine activities. And if we do something different, it does feel weird. I mean, same way with most of you. You have a schedule that you keep, and if you do something different, it begins to feel weird. So from the criminal perspective, just understand that crime may become a part of the routine activities of a particular employee or of somebody else that may be attacking or thinking about attacking your facility. All right. Now, the last part of situational crime prevention I want to talk about here for just a couple minutes is called CPTED. This is called Crime Prevention Through Environmental Design. And this is really the most well-known crime prevention theory, and it basically states that crime can be controlled basically through the design and implementation of procedures within your facility. And another way, a more clinical way of saying that might be, we'll use surveillance, we'll use access control, we'll use territoriality, which means this is our space. And we also use the concept of defensible space. I mean, if you think about it, a military base has crime prevention through environmental design. It keeps people from sneaking onto the base and stealing a tank or, a fighter jet or something like that, because we have access control, we have surveillance, we have territoriality. We have signs up saying this is our space, U.S. government property. If you've been around Huntsville for any length of time, around Redstone Arsenal, you've seen those little red, white, and blue signs that's in the shape of a shield that says U.S. government property or U.S. Army property, no trespassing. And that's CPTED in practice. We build fences, we put lighting up, we install cameras, we have people who are following procedures in order to control the access of anybody that doesn't belong there, even the people that do. We search people's lunch boxes. I used to work security for Eastman Kodak Company up in Kingsport, Tennessee several years ago, and it's been a long time ago now. One of the largest chemical plants in the United States. I mean, several thousand acres of nothing but chemical manufacturing facilities. It's a really stinky place, but they had their own defensible space. They had fences up everywhere. They even had a river that ran through the middle of their property, and if you were in a boat on that river, you saw signs when you were coming into their property that says, "Do not get out on the bank here. This is private property. You will be prosecuted. You will be arrested," etc. So, that's crime prevention through environmental design. That doesn't mean that it couldn't keep somebody from sneaking onto their property, but with the procedures, the policies, and the equipment that they all had in place, then I think they had a very secure location, and it's probably even more secure now, because when I worked there, it was a long time before 9/11/01. So now, after 9/11 and the development of Homeland Security, most of those chemical plants were looked upon as potential targets, and because they were potential targets, the security was even stepped up even more. All right, so make sure you read that section about crime prevention through environmental design. There are whole books written about crime prevention through environmental design, and it's pretty interesting. I guess kind of the key concepts of CPTED are natural surveillance, natural access control, and territorial reinforcement. So where physically can we locate this business or this facility to make it the most secure, while also not giving criminals any place to hide, and then the people and the policy and the procedures that we can put into place to even ratchet up that security level even higher is important. Okay. The last thing I want to talk about today is something called crime displacement and diffusion of benefits. Crime displacement is pretty interesting. It's kind of controversial. And what crime displacement basically says, and you of course you have the ability to read this in your textbook from 169 through 171, but in a nutshell, what crime displacement is that if you are preventing crime in your facility, if you're making your facility sufficiently difficult to attack from every potential angle, then the criminal will not attack your facility. However, that doesn't mean they won't attack a facility somewhere else. You're simply displacing crime. Honestly, the way our justice system and the way that our society is right now, you're probably not going to prevent many people from engaging in a lot of crimes. But what you can do is prevent them from engaging in that crime on your property. You can make your target sufficiently hard, your location sufficiently difficult to attack, that they're going to skip over you and go somewhere else. I mean, think about it this way. That's exactly why we have home alarm systems, and many people have alarm systems that have signs for alarm systems that don't even have alarm systems, because the criminals will see the signs that says, protected by ADT or, Jim Bob's Security Incorporated, then they're going to move on to the house that doesn't have that sign, because they know that the next house that's not protected by electronic security system is probably much easier to get into. So, with that being said, you're not keeping somebody from engaging in the act. You're simply keeping them from engaging in it at your location, so that you don't face the losses for that particular act. And then diffusion of benefits may be even considered to be the opposite in some circles of crime displacement. Diffusion of benefits occurs when security measures taken at one facility benefit another facility. It simply means that, think about this. If you are a defense contractor and you're looking for a location to build a manufacturing facility, if you had the opportunity to build that facility inside Redstone Arsenal instead of, let's say, in North Huntsville somewhere, wouldn't it be more attractive to build that facility in a location that already was secure, that you didn't have to worry about doing a whole lot of security because you already had it? What basically what somebody else was doing for security can benefit you. You even think about that. Put an ATM in a 24-hour store. The ATM is less likely to be robbed or stolen because there are people in that store 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's under constant surveillance. It's probably much more secure than one of the ATMs that's mounted outside in a bank in a rural area somewhere. Some of you may even remember hearing about the little bank that got robbed at Elkmont, Alabama, twice in 2 months back a couple years ago. Elkmont has one police officer. That police officer didn't work 24 hours a day. There was some people that went and stole a piece of construction equipment like a backhoe or a front end loader type of thing. Drove that about 15 miles in the middle of the night down back roads to the bank in Elkmont, used that piece of equipment to remove the ATM from its mounted location, loaded it in the truck. They left the piece of construction equipment at the bank, which actually belonged to the South Giles County, Tennessee Utility District, the water department. They stole the backhoe from the water department, and then of course they took off with the ATM and they got the money out of it. I believe that they did finally catch those particular thieves, but that's pretty interesting, because if that ATM had been 10 miles away inside the 24-hour-a-day truck stop over at I-65 in Elkmont, then it probably wouldn't have got robbed. The bank would not have gotten had the ATM stolen. So that's a diffusion of benefits. If you can increase your security level through diffusion of benefits, then I would suggest that you go for it. Because in any other context, you're simply just going to be displacing crime either from one particular time to another crime, or from one location to another location. You're not really stopping crime. But if you're using a diffusion of benefits type of model, then you probably can prevent certain crime, at least on that particular industry, because of the security that they share with somebody else. All right. That's it for Chapter 8. The good thing about this particular textbook is the chapters aren't terribly long, and they break all of this up into kind of meaningful chunks and manageable chunks of information. So if you guys have any questions, make sure you send me an email. I will be responding to last week's discussions this week, along with getting some grading done. So if you have any problems, questions, concerns, or issues, then reach out to me. Other than that, guys, have a great week. Make sure you take that midterm exam, and I'll see you in discussions. Bye-bye.